Hi, how are you? My name is yeah, for orientation. Yeah. Okay. We'll come here.
Yeah. Shall we go back?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, you're gonna go
Yeah, upstairs.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. 它是不同的方式。
Es en otro cuarto, no es allá. En inglés.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, exactly. And on the second floor, yeah, they told us to upstairs. Yeah, English.
English over here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, here's for English. This room. Thank you, thank you.
The bosses are down there.
How are you? Hi, my name is Tom. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
I have 2 friends coming.
Great.
Yeah.
Normally we're going to try to get started right at 6. There's a little bit of time. Anytime just if you want to fill out all the activities.
行，那你再问，行，带手机了吗？洗手间能找得到的，洗手间自己找，自己找。
Now I'll pay in advance. So I've done it like last year. When I did the housing seminar, the whole thing. But because my schedule is tight, I was never able to schedule an appointment.
Okay.
So the next 2 Wednesdays in the afternoon, I'm free. Just hoping maybe you have a time.
Yes, what we'll do is we'll actually schedule appointments after the orientation. So just pay attention to which program you're interested in, and then I'll be able to set you up with one program at the end of the class. Yeah.
We have a pen.
And make sure you give them back afterwards because they're always wrong on blue pens for some reason.
Thank you.
Alright, so if you're going to just work on filling out these pages before we get started.
So I did this a year ago. Am I doing it again?
If you want to, yeah.
Well, if I'm in the system, I mean, is there anything like new?
Yeah, so at the
So
very
just do
least,
the whole thing then?
well, at the very least, what we need is the city phone. Hi,
Hello.
how are you? Because in the fiscal year, so if you want to just fill out this one at the very least, but it would be helpful to have all of it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're just filling out these pages.
Is it okay if I go bring us and it's on my right that I'm gonna be?
Tudo bom, Felipe? Como vai? Escuta, eu trouxe outras coisas. Eu não sabia se essa bandeira é tua também. É minha. É a bandeira maior de todas? Nossa, obrigado por ter feito. Eu não quis deixar lá no... Porque eu não sabia se eles iam perder alguma coisa assim, eu resolvi esperar para te encontrar. Então, acho que tem que preencher Aliás, instructor. Oh, I take one of these.
Yes, if you can.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No, either way.
I actually didn't look that way. Tem caneta aqui, ó.
Opa, tudo bom? Tudo certinho.
Oi, Anderson, tudo bem?
Tá tão certo, hein?
Então, pega uma dessas pastas, acho que aqui já tem uma pessoa, né? Entra por ali e começa a preencher. Ela precisa dessa cadeira. Ah, é? Aqui também, ó.
No, ¿eso es fantasma? Sí, me dijeron que me mandaron un link. Sí, esto es la cámara y aquí lo ven.
So, 415.
Quente, tá?
Pouquinho.
Just put the key here.
So if you bring it back up to the desk where it's hanging.
Okay.
note.
Ooh, that's- thank you. I mean, you would have gotten all the answers right. But here, let me do it. Thank you for your honesty.
So that one too, or for the end? That one.
No, that one's fine.
Okay, set it up.
Oh, okay, okay.
This is for later.
For the assessment.
Yeah, so the last page in this packet with the long paper, in the back of that, you'll see a question that asks about like what you learned after the workshop, so don't fill that out until after the workshop. And then this little financial assessment one with the little blue top, that's also just for
No,
whenever
it's
you want
not.
to do it at home.
Oh, over here maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even better, if you have time to do this little financial assessment now, go ahead, but otherwise it's just, homework.
So a question, the financial action plan is not just your monthly expenses, it's actually a plan where you're gonna apply the money.
Yeah,
It's
the
the
plan.
same thing.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but,
Okay, I think not.
And also the question, are you interested in finding the word is coming from the word of
yeah,
coming
finding out if you qualify for benefits.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you interested in? Okay, so
But
we're
I was told to come here when I came, 1 o'clock.
So, we do general life orientations every Wednesday. This is the one that has a little bit more emphasis on housing, so we go briefly over the rental process. If you're interested, do you specify if you're interested in rental or fixed purchase? Okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is sort of just like an overview of the rental process. If you actually want to start. Okay. Well then, rental, if you're actually looking to submit rental applications, we do that Wednesdays from 1 to 4, every Wednesday.
I was looking for like
Yeah.
actual counseling about housing,
Okay,
so this
okay.
is not the place.
No, this is just a general
Okay,
orientation.
all right, okay, sorry.
There is a place on that, about the housing. You need housing, what kind of?
Not the tenants union, I just got a picture that I'm looking for new housing. so.
Oh, okay.
House of Musta downstairs, if you've heard of them, they do a lot of tenants rights. Right now they have limited summer hours. I think it's from Friday 1 to 5. It's just 1 floor down, and you can look on the wall. They'd probably do a survey. I would go there.
No, the eviction's over, it's over, I'm
Okay.
gone,
Okay.
so it's too late.
Okay.
So, I'm just trying to find housing. so.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
thanks.
good luck.
All right.
Okay, everyone, I think we can go ahead and get started. It's okay if you're not done filling out your forms. We'll have a little bit more time at the end. And then also, as long as you're paying attention somewhat, you can fill them out as you want to go. So my name is Marcail, spelled like that, Marcail, and with a weird name. It's pronounced like kale at the end of it, like the vegetable. So thanks for coming in this Wednesday night. I know you guys probably have better, more exciting things to do, but hopefully this next hour or so will be really helpful for you in just giving you an overview of what MEDA's programs are. So basically the goal of tonight is just to give you just that, an overview of what our different programs are, the different services that we offer, so that we can see how we can connect you with a coach or some of our other services, hopefully help you meet your financial goals and whatever other goals you might have that relate to finances, because we don't know that interlaps. So I'm specifically on the housing team. I also do taxes. So I do taxes during tax season, housing during the rest of the year. So this orientation is going to cover all of our basic stuff, but it's also going to have slightly more of a focus on housing. So we're going to go a little bit over our rental process, and then I'll tell you about if you're possibly interested in purchasing a house, what that can look like, and what you have to do to do that. Just some tips in getting through this class. So pay attention to the different programs that we have and keep note of anything that you're particularly interested in. Because actually right after this workshop, we're going to actually get to make appointments for everyone with a coach. So just find that one program that you're really interested in and keep it in mind for the rest of the class. And feel free to ask questions as they go, or let me know if you want me to explain something again.
How are you going to make notes here?
You can make notes wherever you want. Yeah. So we're going to be keeping the long sheet, the one with all the information. So yeah, you can make notes on the back of that the year path thing. We're actually not going to go over that in our class. It's more sort of just your own reference. So that pamphlet, if you open it up, it will just tell you like where you are today, where you want to go, what your future goals are. And because this is more focused on housing, we're not going to focus on that, but feel free to do that in your free time at your home. Okay. So MEDA's mission. So basically our mission is to strengthen low and moderate income Latino families by promoting economic equity and social justice through asset building and community development. So does anyone know how long we've been working in the mission here?
40 years.
How many?
Many years. Well, I took the training, the housing training, I think it was the 2002 or 3 on the older building.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 20 years, maybe more.
So that's 20 years. Yes, we've actually been in the mission for 46 years, and our services have really developed over the time. So we're a pretty well-established organization in San Francisco, and we're really lucky that we get to work with other partnerships, not just in California, but across the U.S. A lot of organizations are trying to do a lot of the same integration that we do, in that like we have financial capability at the heart of all of our programs, which we'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, we've been here for a really long time. We first started giving out small loans to business owners, so people who were starting their own businesses and needed some help with loans. We started out doing that. And then sort of as the time went on, we saw what the community needed, and we added a tax program. So we do free tax preparation. And then we started doing workforce development. So we do resume building and helping people get ready for new jobs. So it's really developed over time, and we're still growing. So that's just a really exciting thing to be a part of, and I'm glad that you guys are joining us. So, hint, hint, pay attention to this slide because there is an evaluation at the end. But, so what are we hoping to achieve? So basically our main philosophies are, families are financially thriving. So basically what that means to us is we try to empower clients not just with information, but the tool set to be able to use that information to achieve their own goals. And then with that hope being that one family member can bring that information to their other family members, we can sort of create a ladder of generational wealth. So we want all families to be financially thriving. And we know especially in the Bay Area, it's not always the easiest thing to do. So families have affordable and stable housing. Another thing that we know very well in San Francisco is that it's really expensive here, and it's really hard to find both affordable housing and housing that is permanent, and housing that you can count on being there in the future when you're not on the risk of eviction. So in our housing programs, we do rental, we do pre-purchase, and hopefully you're not in this case, but if you are, we also do post-purchase, so foreclosure, if you need support with trying to save your house after you've defaulted on a loan. And so children and youth succeed in school. So another one of these aspects to being both financially thriving and to be able to find affordable and stable housing is we have to start empowering children when they're younger, right, and connecting them to resources that they need and making sure that their families are able to support them to grow and meet their own goals. So San Francisco Latinos are decision makers in the institutions and political systems that affect our lives. So as I mentioned, we started out here just providing small loans for people who were opening their own businesses. And then as time on, we listened to the community's needs, and they were like, hey, we really need this service, we really need this service. So we're able to bring in those services here, and now we're able to bridge that with our policy team, which is just a recent initiative. So we're taking what we've learned from our community and within our programs, and we're bridging that to actually the local level and the state level in California policy. And so lastly, the Mission District is a strong and supportive community for Latino residents, their businesses, and institutions. So again, the Mission District, I think, is one of those places in San Francisco that has been really exciting for a lot of new people. So we're trying to keep the mission culturally relevant and accessible to the people who live here and who have lived here for a long time. And so more about our philosophy. So financial capability will make or break your life goals. Does anyone know what the difference between financial education and financial capability is?
No, I guess, yes, just a guess.
Yep.
Education, when you learn the process on how to do the next step, which is, create capability to buy a house, to buy a car, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the education. There's one step knowing, like, I know that I'm supposed to be saving a certain percentage of my income every month, but do I necessarily do it? Not all the time. If I can, I do. But it's just sort of that idea of things that we know we're supposed to be doing, but we might not necessarily be doing them. So the capability is taking it a step further. So not just learning, but actually putting that into action. So financial power is political power. So the same thing, we've been working with our policy team to implement policy changes at the local and state level. Asset building is imperative for our community now more than ever. I argue that this has always been important, but now as we're in an increasingly expensive and somewhat aggressive world, it's important now to empower our communities. And so that's actually why financial capability is central in all of MEDIC programs, which we're going to go over soon. And so everyone, regardless of income, immigration status, or education, can reach their goals. So one quick question I have is it true or false that you need to have a social security number in the US to be able to open a bank account?
False.
False, yeah. So that's one thing. A lot of folks think that, I have a certain immigration status, that means I can't access a bank account, I can't access this loan I want to access, I can't buy a house, but there are a lot of avenues that you can get plenty of these things using an ITIN number, which is basically a social security number for people who aren't citizens of the United States. So regardless of all these things, there's always a way for you to reach your financial goals. Questions to that point on any of those major themes? No? Okay. So what does it actually mean to be financially thriving? So the way that we work with this, because we have the financial capability program in the center of all of our different services, we break it into several categories. So there's debt, income, savings, and credit. That's important. DISC. So this is also what lenders will use if they're going to think about giving you a loan, or if you're getting a loan on a car, or any type of loan. Lenders are going to be looking at how much debt you have, whether you have sufficient income to pay off that loan, how much savings you have in case something happens to your income, and then credit, which we all know credit is one of the driving factors in the US, and it's something that doesn't exist in other countries. But if you don't have a good credit score, you can't buy a car, you can't rent an apartment. So these are the most important things, and that's what we talk about when we're talking about being financially thriving. So what that actually looks like is, how many people here know what an emergency savings account would be? How is that different from a regular savings account? So, for example, regular savings account, I want to save for my kids to go to college in the future, or I want to save to go on vacation. I want to save for retirement. But emergency savings is, let's say you're driving and your tire pops. So you want to have at least $500 in emergency savings so that small things like that don't turn into much bigger barriers to keep you from reaching your goals. And then credit score. So who knows? Okay, yeah, so 700 plus credit score. So basically, if you're looking to get any type of loan, creditors are going to want to see that you're a responsible lender, or spender and paybacker. Who actually knows what credit is? Okay, so credit is basically a way, just that, it's kind of like a grade you would get on a test in school. It's like, I can prove to you that I can pay this back because I've gotten, I had a loan of $400 before and I paid it off on time, so I promise you that I'll do it the same. I'll do it the same this way. So it's sort of just a way of proving that you're reliable and responsible for the lenders. And so you have to then rental and mortgage ready, so that just goes back to being in stable and affordable housing so that you're not on the verge of eviction or being kicked out of your housing. Okay, and so ITIN, I know I talked a little bit about this earlier, so we also help clients here with ITIN applications. So again, an ITIN application is for anyone who's been in the U.S. for more than 183 days and they are not U.S. citizens. It's not technically a document that gives you permission to work, but it's a document that gives you permission to file your taxes. And that's really important if you ever want to apply for any affordable housing units or a home in the future. So we help folks out with doing ITINs. Tax credits, as I mentioned, we do free tax preparation here, so we offer, our tax preparers know about the different credits that might be available, so if you have Social Security or an ITIN, you're making a certain amount of income, you have kids, you qualify for different credits. And then safe banking. So we also want to encourage clients to put their trust in our banks, not our banks, we don't have banks, but just in banks in general, so that you can keep your money in a place that is safe and protected and is FDIC insured in case anything goes wrong and you can take your money out. So then career pathways. So obviously we know that, you know, in order to be financially thriving, we need some sort of income. So one way you can have that income is to be in a career that allows you to advance over time. So one of our programs focuses on letting folks get the skills they need to advance in their next goals in their career. Okay, so these are our sort of main 4 departments of programs that we have. We'll go more into them in depth later on. And so this is where you want to think about what's most interesting to you. So Mission Promise Neighborhood, this is basically a network of schools in the local area that connect with each other to make sure that families and their kids have the resources they need to advance their own goals or to be connected to daycare or higher education or whatever it may be. It's building that support system. And then policy, as I mentioned, that's just hearing what we...
Can I just back up? Mm-hmm. It was the previous slide about the 700 plus credit score.
Yeah.
That's the FICO, right? Mm-hmm. Is that it? Well, my question is, actually I have 2 questions. One is that something else that I heard about besides the FICO?
Mm-hmm.
Is
that's
that
a really
okay?
good question. Yeah.
What was? Yeah, but that's not actually my question. My question is, so you said that anything below 700, it's like forget it.
I don't think I said that. I said
No, yeah, you didn't mean that. No, you're right. You didn't say that. But I'm just looking at that 700 plus, and so what does it mean if it is below that? Does it mean like no chance of getting loans and stuff like that?
No, not at all. And I'm sorry if I gave that impression. No, 700 plus is what we're striving for. We have a ton of clients who come in with like 640s. The lowest one we've ever seen is in the 300s. And basically, we just want to help you get on that habit of responsible spending and debt management and budgeting so that you can get to the point above 700. So we're still going to get all into that subject. So.
And is that a plan? Mida has a plan for improving that score?
Is there a plan? Oh yeah.
Okay.
All of us do the financial capability piece. So we'll come back to that.
Okay.
We'll also come back to the FICO versus credit because
okay.
we're going to go more into credit later on.
All right.
Any other questions so far? Okay. Yeah, so policy, CRE, community real estate. So we're lucky enough to be able to purchase different buildings purchase different buildings in Meta that we're able to keep either in affordable housing or we're able to loan out for small businesses who are hoping to open their business. So that's one of our biggest growing programs right now. And then our direct services. So this is all of our asset building. So that's like taxes, housing, financial capability, workforce development. So we'll go more into those later. Okay, so financial assets program. So this is sort of this is Meta's big program that we've used to integrate into all of our other services. So the biggest way that we actually get clients into this program is through doing tax preparation. So this past year, we prepared taxes of about 4,700 people, and we generated refunds to the community of over $8 million. $8 million. So our hope is with preparing people's taxes for free, we're able to help them get the refunds and the credits that they qualify for, and we're also able to introduce them to some of Meta's other services that can help them later on, such as building credit or applying for an ITIN. So that's one of our main programs in our financial assets program. Yeah, so ITIN applications there again. And then accessing financial products, so that, what's a financial product?
It could be investments, like stock market, maybe.
Yeah. It could be investments, it could be like a credit card, a loan, it could be a bank account. If you don't have a bank, you want to start saving, you can open up a bank account, mortgage, all those things are financial products, and we work with clients to build a plan for them to be able to get there. And then, lastly, just reaching your financial goal. At the end of the day, all of us coaches are here to support your goals, and if those aren't 100% financial related, we still hope that we can help you get there somehow using the skill set that we helped you build out. So workforce development. So this is a really great program that we have for folks who maybe have been out of the job market for a while and they're looking for some help on redoing or reviewing their resume. You can make an appointment with a workforce coach to just spell check everything on your resume, use some language that will be more powerful when you interview. We also do mock interviews, so sometimes we'll invite different companies to come in. We've had like Bank of America, we've had certain flight agencies come in and sort of just do mock interviews with people, and then some of those have actually led to real jobs once they decided to invite candidates to actually interview. So that's one of our programs we have within workforce development. And then one that's really exciting right now is our mission techies and mission admins. So basically the mission admins program is meant for anybody who doesn't really feel like they have a basic understanding of computers. So in our mission admins program, we'll teach folks how to, get on a computer, Google stuff, use Excel, use PowerPoint, do all these things with the hopes that one day you can land an office job or be some sort of administrative assistant. And we have connections with partners who offer jobs like that as well. And we also have a cool pipeline from our mission admins program into the mission techies. So our mission techies is actually a program that's taught by tech volunteers in the area who actually teach people how to code. So if you want to jumpstart your programming career and you want to learn how to do some basic coding, we have this class. It's really popular. It always fills up. So just be on the lookout. If that's what you're interested in, we can definitely connect you to a workforce coach.
Is that an age requirement? Because at one time I saw a flyer, it was like over 25 or something. Oh, below 25.
I'm not sure about that, but if you make an appointment with a coach, they'll definitely be able to tell you more about that. So business development. So this is sort of going back to the original program that Meta was started on, which was providing small loans. So if you want to open up your own small business and you want to learn how to file taxes for your business, or just how to make a general business plan so that your business can be successful, you'd work with our business development team. So we do different workshops and trainings. So the one that we have that's most popular is 9 weeks long. It's on Thursdays in the evenings. And that's basically just to give you an understanding of what the process is like for building your own business. And then you'll also be able to have one-on-one consultations with our BDP team to help you actually formalize your business. So what does the paperwork look like? What do I need to look out for in my taxes? How do I negotiate leases that I want to rent out? So all these things are services that the business development team works on, and we have a lot of success with this one too, in just helping local businesses start out early on. Okay, and Fondo Adelante. So this is another one of our initial programs. So it's a micro lending program for small business owners. So we apply for loans we allow our clients to apply for loans between $5,000 to $100,000 at a 7 to 9% interest rate. And don't quote me on this, but I think the market rate is something like 10. It's a little bit higher, so this is actually a pretty good deal for anyone who wants a small loan for their business. And so here, like Fondo Adelante, like with all the other programs, they're going to take into account that income savings credit here. So that's what that's just saying there. This is more important. The most important approval criteria is proven capacity to make the monthly loan payment. So that's basically your credit score. Are you paying on time? how much of your credit are you using. So these are all things that we'll work with our clients to make sure that they get these loans and other loans that I want to apply for. Another thing to point out here is, along with all of our services, anyone with an ITIN can apply, so you can still take advantage of all of these programs. So Fondo Adelante, you can open bank accounts, you can get loans, so MEDA definitely wants to make that clear. Okay, and then housing opportunities. So this is my team, so rental preparedness. We help people find affordable rent in San Francisco. And the way we're able to do that is anyone familiar with the Dahlia website?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dahlia. Also, by a show of hands, who here is here primarily for housing? Okay.
I'm kind of like half.
Okay. Okay. It's just good to know. Okay, so yeah, so what we do on the Dahlia website, and we'll go a little bit more into this later, but it's lottery-based affordable housing in San Francisco, and there are certain certificates of preference. So we'll basically just help folks submit their applications, and when it comes time to them actually selecting a lottery winner, that being the city of San Francisco, we'll have your back and we'll fight for you, because they have a lot of applicants they need to go through, so we want to make sure that they're getting all the correct information about how much your income is, what your personal situation is, so that we can help you as much as possible to get into that unit. So once you start with rental with us, we're going to advocate for you, so I like to share that with people.
I live on a BMR unit.
Oh, great! Did you win it from the lottery?
Yeah. So the whole process. And
That's great.
but then I got it approved.
Uh-huh.
And then, short story, and it took me 3 months to get in because the landlord was kind of like letting me out. Like, oh, maybe no, next month. It took me 3 months.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, that's mine, and then I moved in. So.
Yeah, unfortunately that happens. So that's another thing, is the city can...
But my question is, you can only help after we get drawn.
Yeah,
right?
So we don't have any way of rigging the lottery.
Right.
But yeah, so basically we can help you make sure you submit the right things to apply, and then if you get chosen, we can make sure you have all those documents in line. Because oftentimes what will happen is you'll submit your application and be like, oh, you're missing a paper?
Yeah.
Never mind, on to the next person.
I got frustrated a couple of years ago. I was trying to apply to a few, and then it was always like at least like 4,000 or 5,000 applicants, and then like maybe only 10 units or something like that. So I thought that the chances were really hard. Plus, there are some criteria, like people that have been evicted, they are a little bit ahead in the drawing or something like that. And then I just got frustrated and
that's fair. There's a lot of people applying for it throughout the year.
I was approved 3 times.
You were approved 3 times?
Because I sent like to a couple, projects.
Mm-hmm.
So I was approved for one, and then 2 weeks next, someone else.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
very successful.
and then 2 years after, like maybe I'll try something else, and then I was again, but then I decided to stay where I am.
Wow.
But
Did
now
you
I'm kind of
have-
like thinking about the buying. So
Okay, yeah, great.
David, did you have one of those criterias, like being evicted, or one of those certificates that they?
no,
Okay.
no, because they give a preference, right?
Right.
If it did, no.
No.
It was really luck.
How long ago was
That's
this?
amazing.
13,
Years ago?
2013, so
2013.
13, yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
No, 13 years ago, or
No,
the
2013.
year of 2013. Yeah, 6 years ago.
Well, I haven't heard of that, but that's great. So hopefully other
Yeah,
people
that's
can feel
good.
inspired. Yeah, so then to your point of being interested in home buyer, how many people here are maybe interested in the home buyer program? Okay. So this is one of our most popular programs at MEDA, because we're one of a few agencies in San Francisco that can give a class that equips you with a required certificate if you're planning on using any city down payment assistance programs, or if you want to purchase a city home. So there's a $50 fee for that, just because it is a requisite of the city of San Francisco. It's 6 hours long. It's on the second Saturday of every month. So we just had our last one this past week, and we'll go a little bit more into it, but that's definitely one of the ways that we jumpstart people in helping them search for a home, and that's market rate or below market rate. And then, as I mentioned, post-purchase support. So hopefully you won't be in this position, but if you ever are, you're facing foreclosure, you're having trouble paying off your loans, we'll be here to help you come up with a plan, and then if it comes to it, to help you make those negotiations about keeping your home. Okay. So then, in regard to the housing opportunities that we can help out with, so as I mentioned, we have Dahlia SF, which is what we use for the affordable rental units that are below market rate. And below market rate just meaning that the city of San Francisco actually subsidizes housing for certain units around San Francisco, so that if, for example, a house were worth $1.5 million and the below market rate on Dahlia, it would go for like $300,000 or $400,000 or something. And yeah. The goal of the program is to just make home ownership more accessible to low to moderate income families, and to be able to provide that stable and affordable housing that a lot of us don't have in the Bay Area, and just make it more equitable in general. So that's below market rate opportunities. We also help out with market rate opportunities. So honestly, even if you are looking to buy a market rate home and you don't necessarily need that certificate to be able to apply to a city program, I think our 6-hour pre-purchase class is really informative. Prior to me sitting in or even seeing that class, I didn't know a lot of the content. I think it just gave me and gives clients a really good understanding of the entire process of buying a home. So like, what do you need to prepare for? Like what documents do you need to submit an application? How do you get a pre-approval? What do you do once you do get the pre-approval? Like, where do I put my money once I'm ready to close on the house? So all these things. So we help out with market rate and below market rate. We're just more focused on the below market rate. If you're interested in market rate, we have several different portals that we like to tell clients to use. You've probably used them before, so Zillow, Craigslist, and then different Facebook groups or different ways that you can find homes in the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, and then, so for anyone who hasn't seen Dahlia, this is what it looks like. It's really simple. It's the San Francisco housing portal. And basically all you'll have to do is sign into the website, create an account for yourself. You'll put your full name, your date of birth, you'll pick a password. And there's also a section where you can sign up to receive notifications when there are new units becoming available. So that's rental or purchase. Now they're both on Dahlia. And basically you would just get an email every time a new unit opens up, and that way you're ready, you can submit your application. And the great thing about this is that it's a very smart system. So once you put your information in it one time, you don't need to put it in ever again, and you just click through really quickly until you submitted your application. So it's pretty quick, pretty efficient. If you haven't checked it out yet, just go poke around there, see what units are available, and see what it looks like below market rate versus market rate. Okay, so rental assistance and subsidy programs. So we do work with some agencies that offer rental assistance programs. So that's like one-time financial assistance, usually for catching up back rent, eviction prevention, or security deposits. So what that means is, let's say you're like, you missed a couple months rent, and you just couldn't do it. Something happened, you lost your job, you weren't able to pay that rent. So these organizations are actually organizations that would give you sort of a one-time payment. They're like, okay, you're on the edge of eviction. We've met with you. We trust you. We've reviewed your financial situation, and we're going to give you this one-time sort of backup rent or eviction prevention so that you're not out on the streets. So while we don't do that here, I would take note of some of those organizations. So Hamilton Families, Catholic Charities, and Q Foundation are all organizations that do rental assistance. So that's like, if you're on the verge of eviction, you would get in touch with them, and they might be able to give you some support to avoid that and to allow you to keep your home or stay in your apartment. So then rental subsidy, a little bit different. So it's basically ongoing financial assistance to cover a portion of the rent payment for a temporary period of time. So there's only one agency in San Francisco that does that. It's called the Q Foundation, and there are certain criteria you need to meet to be able to apply with them. But basically they'll be like, oh, okay, you want to apply for an apartment that's $1,200 a month, but you can only afford $800. Okay, let's see if we can make up that difference and give you $400. And it's on a sliding scale for each case. They're not just going to give you $400 or however much money, but they'll look through your case, see if you meet the criteria, and then they would be able to give you that constant financial assistance, again with the goal of just affordable and stable housing. Questions on any of the housing stuff so far? Okay. Nope, that's a bill. Okay, so yeah, so this is some of the lottery preference that you were talking about. So the City of San Francisco does have certain preferences in the lottery. So what that means is just that people who have a certain certificate will be put higher up in the lottery before people who just live or work in San Francisco. So you'll see that the top number one preference is in the 1960s and the 1970s, a lot of people were displaced from the Fillmore district. So right now the City of San Francisco wants to recognize that that caused a big hardship on the community, and they want to be able to bring people back into stable and affordable housing. So if you have a certificate of preference proving that you were displaced in the 1960s or the 1970s in the Fillmore district of San Francisco, you would go way to the top of the lottery list, meaning that you're more likely to get selected than someone who just lives or works in San Francisco. And then the second one, so displaced tenant housing preference. So that's if you are someone, or you know someone who has been evicted through the Ellis Act. Basically what that means is if the owner has moved into the apartment where you were living, you would be given that certain certificate of preference. Or if you've been a victim of a residential fire in your home, hopefully not, you would be able to get that certificate of preference as well. So first it would be the displacement in the 1960s and 70s in the Fillmore, then it would be if your landlord moved into your house, kicked you out, or if your house burned down. So the other higher up preference is the neighborhood preference. So that's basically, they want to recognize that when the City of San Francisco is putting up new buildings in certain districts, the people who live right around that building are maybe going to be affected, because maybe their rent will raise, maybe they won't be able to afford to live there anymore. So they actually give preference to people who live within a mile radius of that house, or of that new building. And that's basically just so that they can sort of hopefully help people out who live in the area and who may see their living costs going up, but may still be able to qualify to live in a new unit that was just built a block away from their house. And then lastly, this is the one most of us have, live or work preference. So that just means you live in San Francisco, you work in San Francisco, it doesn't have to be both, it can be one or the other. And that's just you submitting your general lottery application. So we help out with this every Wednesday from 1 to 4. So if you haven't submitted a rental application yet and you'd like to, we're always happy to have you. We have a cap at 40 people every Wednesday. We'll see the last person at 3:30. But basically all you need to do to submit an application is a document. So you either need a pay stub, a document of public benefits, so if you have like Social Security or Medi-Cal, or if you have a child in a school in San Francisco, you can bring their report card, or you can bring a utility bill like water, gas.
A quick question. Would people who doesn't have a social security yet be able to apply for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no requirement for Social Security for this.
For BMR? Because they ask, what would be the documentation, like ID and IT number? Or?
So it wouldn't be ID and IT number. It would be, so if you're not receiving public benefits, it could be like if you're paying water, if you're paying gas.
Okay.
Yeah, you just bring in a bill.
They'll ask you whatever it is.
Or you can select what it is. So just bring that in. It just has to show that you live or work in San Francisco.
Okay.
But it has to be one of those 4 types of documents.
Yeah, now that you show this, then I think I was benefited by 3 and 4 because I was working and living in the city, and I actually put that in the application, and I was living less than a mile from the new building.
Yeah.
So maybe
number 3.
Like
Number 4, pretty much everybody. You either or.
Yeah.
I mean, either you're already living here or you're working here. So number 4, it's very common. But all the first 3, you have preference if you qualify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's great.
Because I was always number 4, and number 4 is the lowest.
It's hard because obviously there are a lot of people who want to get these units. So there's one unit and they'll have like.
It looks like the weight is bigger. See the base? It's bigger.
That's that's true too.
No, that would be nice. No, that's really cool. I've never heard anyone in your circumstance. Okay, so then what do the results mean? So, as you know, it's lottery based. So when you submit your application for a rental, you'll get a lottery number, And it's just like bingo, you know, they'll pull the ball out, except they'll do it online. So everyone will have a number, and let's say the person had displaced tenants housing preference, so that was the first one, the second one, right? So the city of San Francisco will tell you how many units are available for those people who have that preference. So let's say you got ranked number 11, you're a displaced tenant housing preference, and there are 12 units. So if you're ranked 11 and there are 12 units, you probably have a good chance of getting that unit because there are 12 units set aside for people with that preference. This one, on the other hand, live and work preference. So let's say you're ranked 1,733 for live and work. Honestly, that's still probably not that bad. They're up to 62 units. So then you have a much lower chance of actually getting into that unit. And the way it works is they would just interview the first 3 people, have them ready. If none of those qualify, then move on to the next, and they'll just do that until they get up to the 62nd unit. So it's a lottery, it's a gamble, but we have people win. So, and not just, people win. So I encourage you all, if that's something you're interested in, just keep submitting applications. One piece of advice I can give is people who have very specific qualifications for the apartment, like they're like, I want free parking and I want a pool outside. I don't know, stuff like that.
You are self-eliminating. Yeah.
So, honestly, that's great. If that's your preference, go for it.
Do they send the lottery number to your Google account, your Gmail account, or
Yeah.
how do you find out your number?
So that's a great question. So when you're on the Dahlia account, basically as soon as you submit your application, they'll be like, bam, here's your lottery number. So
Okay.
they'll just give it to you. And then what will happen after that, let's say you do win the lottery, is they'll
Send you a letter.
send you a letter.
They
or
also
they'll
publish
email you.
it online,
They publish it online.
the results, who won,
Oh,
or the numbers that were selected.
Yeah. And then we also have some people who are like, oh, like what if I don't see my mail, and what if I don't check my email? And I'm like, well, that's great that you came here to work with us, because since we are tracking all of your lottery numbers, we also get informed when you win a lottery ticket. So if that's something you're interested in, I recommend doesn't have to be Meta, any organization that does this kind of assistance. It's just sort of another person to hold you accountable and make sure that you're getting that information as soon as you need it, because you only have 5 days to process all the paperwork before they move on to the next candidate. Questions on this lottery? Very fun lottery. Okay. Yeah, so that's just going over what we talked about. So they'll call, send you a letter asking you to present your documents, and then they'll verify your income. They'll look at these things to make sure that you have enough money and will be able to pay the rent, and also that it's need-based. It's a need-based program, so they want to make sure that you don't have like $1 million saved somewhere, because if you do, you probably don't need the apartment as much as someone else does. And then verification that you live or work in San Francisco, and then as I mentioned, we can help you prepare the documentation, someone else can help you prepare. I just recommend that you go to an agency to make sure that you have everything ready, because you're all going to win.
Actually, also, there was, I'm pretty sure that at the Dahlia website, once you put in your number, it also will tell you what was your rank, like your position on the drawing. Because I remember the closest I got was like 300. I didn't get it because it was only, 10 apartments. But it tells us what was your number, in which order was picked. Doesn't it? Dahlia?
Yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah, they'll tell you your rank.
And then you can just compare to your number that you received, and it will tell you that if you got it or not, because it will tell you what was your position.
Yeah, so they'll do that, and they'll list all the lottery numbers so you can see where yours is in the larger list of applications. So they do leave a couple some priority units. So this is basically just units obviously need to have accommodations for people with mobility, visual, and hearing impairments. So 5% to 10% of the units. And if you are applying with one of those priorities, you need to check it off in your application, because they're also very strict about once you apply, you can't change what you applied for. They're thinking that, oh, this person applied and now they realize that there's this nice apartment available that has some accommodation. Yeah, well, a pool or, you know, some sort of accommodation that they like more, so they're gonna apply for that. Or they're gonna like get the apartment and then invite 3 of their buddies to come live with them, so they're just trying to avoid that. But obviously there are priority units available up to 5 to 10% of those.
Mark,
Yes.
can I ask you a question? Is there a percentage of like what? I guess my question is like, let's say there is 50 units for BMR, and then is it like maybe they go down to the 100 list? Like assuming not all the 50 that were picked it will qualify. Is there any statistics how far down they go in the line? Like maybe someone that was picked at 100, do they get a chance?
Yeah, they'll exhaust the list. If they go through people and no one qualifies, if they have 50 units and they're at number 80 and they still don't have all the units filled, they'll keep going 100. If they go to 200, they go through all the people.
Yeah, but is there anywhere like a statistics of how far down they go as far as like if you were selected at 300? I didn't think I had a chance, so I didn't even follow up. But I'm just curious if usually what do they go down to? Like if it were 50, they go through up to 100, or is it hard to say?
I'm not familiar with the statistic. It's possible that the city of San Francisco has one, but that's not information that they've shared with us. So you could look into it. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would say it's not normal for an entire list of applicants to be exhausted. Usually they find people who qualify, but they're just saying in the case that people don't, maybe that's more likely with the pre-purchase program because there are fewer applicants. Then they'll go over to, they'll exhaust the list and then it will be first come, first serve.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so where can you apply? So if you want to apply to units, these are some of the organizations that work on that. As I mentioned, we're all part of the homeownership SF.
This is applies for what?
This is apply for rental unit.
And
Yeah.
not necessarily that, it could be any program or we're talking.
So these are dahlias. So the ones that, I'm not sure if the other ones have their own private VMR programs, but these agencies are the agencies that are a part of the Homeownership SF Coalition, and that's the one that dictates, they're the ones working very closely with the city of San Francisco and like, what new units are opening up? What are the qualifications? How do we prepare clients? So maybe they have other VMR units available, but that would be a case-by-case basis. Did everyone, if you want to take a picture, take a picture. Okay. And who knows what this is? Income. Maximum income by household size. So this is AMI. This is area median income. And basically what that means is the city of San Francisco will get the median income for the county, and then we'll let people know what range they're in. If they're above that median income at a certain percentage or they're below it. And then this has a big factor in who qualifies for certain apartments. So that this is like rental and purchase. If you want to qualify for a home or a unit, you have to be within a certain range. So if anyone here is interested in pre-purchase, if you're interested in possibly buying a house, if you wanted to look into buying a below market rate home, it would be between 80% and 120. So that's basically saying your income is 80% of the median income, and they'll go all the way up to 120% of the median income to help you qualify for a home. So what does that look like? So let's say you're a family of 3 and you make $45,000 a year. So what you would do is you would look on this chart. This is also very easily Googleable. You guys want to look at it at home. So 3-person, and you go down to the 45. The thing that's important here is you always want to go to the bracket that is higher than the one that yours is, as in, because my family makes 45, I wouldn't be able to go in this bracket of 45. I need to go one up to 50%. Or let's say a family of 5 makes $85,000 a year. What would their AMI be?
65%, $86,000.
Yeah, 65. Yep. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking on Dahlia. You can check out the AMI qualifications there, both for rental and purchase, and you can still apply within a range. Like, let's say they have a house that's available for 80% of the AMI, and you make 90% of the AMI. You could still apply. You know, they're a little bit more strict with the income qualifications, but for your AMI, there's a bit of a range. Does that make sense? You guys have any questions on that?
No, just a comment. I told some people about BMI, and people are like, oh, I don't qualify because they are looking for the 30% AMA. Yeah. No, AMI. It's like, oh, you don't qualify because they looking at like trying to look a little higher. You know, the 40%, 50%. And for some people, it's just hard to understand that.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky table, but general rule of thumb: if you're looking to purchase a house, you do that between here, 80 to 120. Yeah. And then above that would be market rate. That's just for like subsidized housing, 80 to 120%.
Yeah.
Questions? No. Okay. Any other questions on housing in general? Because I think now we're going to move on to sort of the other financial capability aspect of the course.
Well, how long is the workshop? The fifth. I mean, yeah, not how long. How good is the ones you've done? Because I done it. I guess sometime in 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I call in and people say, oh, you have to do it again. So.
Yeah, so the certificate that you get from the first-time homebuyer class is valid for 2 years from the date that you took the class. So if you took it in 2017, yeah, it would depend what month you took it in, but if you took it in July of 2017, if you took it on July 17, 2017, it would expire today. And then the city of San Francisco would need you to renew it. Yeah.
They say it was like a matter of 15 days that was over.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I wish it wasn't so complicated, buying a house.
Let's call London break now.
Yeah. No, but I think the city of San Francisco just does that for some background because in 2008, after the housing crisis, when a lot of people lost their homes because they were getting subprime loans and lenders were giving people mortgages without looking at any of the stuff, or basically just like, oh yeah, $800,000 mortgage with like 7% interest or something. And people didn't understand what they were getting themselves into. The lenders didn't do a good job of checking people's finances, and because of that, there was obviously a housing crisis, and a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of homes were foreclosed on. So that's why it's actually a federal program.
Okay.
The first-time homebuyer class. They created it as a way to let people know the process of the process that entails buying a house, what to look out for, how to analyze interest rates, how to get the best loan, so things like this, so that people are prepared, and so that hopefully that doesn't happen again. So yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive course. Like I said, 6 hours long, but they just go through the entire process.
Okay.
And I have a question because I am from China, and many of my friends are in Chinatown of San Francisco, and some of them have the chance to rent a cheaper house. And because usually we communicate in Chinese, in Mandarin or Cantonese, and they said that only those who has a green card are qualified for something like the Dahlia, or just like, because I'm not very clear about how to get the rent subsidy or something like that. But they said that only if you have green card, you will be qualified for just have a chance for a cheaper rent. But if you do not have the green card, you are not qualified.
That's not true.
That's not true.
No. So if you're are you talking about rental or purchase?
Rental. Usually, we rent a small house in San Francisco. For example, like me, I rent a small house. Each month is $800. Yeah. But because my salary is very small, and recently I plan to find a new job, and I communicate with my Chinese friend, and they said because I do not have a green card now. I'm waiting for my immigration interview. Okay. So temporarily, I only have my employment card. Okay. So she told me that you are not qualified for this chance.
Who's she?
Because she also rent a house in San Francisco. Several about half a year ago, she rented a house in Chinatown. It's very expensive, and after that, somebody helped her to have the chance something maybe Dahlia or other project to find a very big house with cheaper rent, and she succeeded. And I asked her, how did you get a big house with small rent? And she said, because I have a green card. Only people with green card can have the chance to get a house with cheaper rent. And what she said is wrong.
Yeah,
Definitely wrong. Okay,
it's
got it.
wrong, but I think what I would recommend is definitely like have an appointment with a coach. I might even, well, we can talk afterwards, but I think you can talk to a coach, or you can talk to some of the other agencies we work with in like housing rights, because I think it would also depend. It is true that some lenders, for example, won't give you money, or maybe if you don't have a social security number.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's separate from rent. So yeah, we can talk afterwards about it if you want.
Actually, I have the social security number, but I do not have green card.
Okay.
I pay taxation each year. Yeah.
Okay.
But she said only people with green card have the opportunity to. So I'm depressed.
Okay.
Sometimes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. We can talk more about it afterwards.
Thank you.
Okay. So no more housing questions, right? Or if they come later,
Yeah.
if they come later, we can come back to it. But, yeah, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about this concept of DISC, so debt income savings credit. Like I said, it's the most important part of.
Are you going to email to us this?
I think I can.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll just send it to you in a PDF.
I actually want to print and put this one, like, on my board, the vision board.
That one.
Yeah.
That
Can I
one.
take a picture of the other one?
The last one?
Yeah, that was one.
I have a vision board.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let me see when we get the unseen. Sorry.
Very popular.
All right. Good. Cool. Great. You guys like this slide? So yeah, that income savings credit, why is it important? So first we're going to talk about building credit. I think you had a question earlier about building credit. So there are several ways to build credit. I know that credit is a concept that doesn't exist in every country. So oftentimes people come here and they're like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I have the money, let me just pay for my rent. Why do you need to see all this other stuff about my history? So that's something we work with a lot on clients, is one, just like understanding what the concept of credit is and where it comes from. And then also, if you don't have any credit, or if you have very bad credit because you didn't realize, you're like, I didn't know how important this was, we can help you get it to a point where you'll be able to access lower interest rates and more services with a higher credit score. So one thing you can do to build credit is to obtain a financial product. So as you were saying, financial products is like banks, it's a loan, it's a mortgage, just things that help you become more financially stable after you invest your time into them and you start working with them. And then how to build credit. So always pay on time. So this is actually the #1 reason that people have poor credit in the US, is because they just don't pay their bills on time. And so what that actually looks like in practice is, let's say you have a balance of $4,000 on your credit card, but your minimum payment is only $100. If you're paying $70 instead of $100 every monthly statement, that's actually going to decrease your credit, because you're not paying the minimum balance. And from the credit agencies, or from your lender's perspective, they're like, okay, well, I lended this person X amount of money and they're not paying me back the minimum that I want. And then what that will do is it will increase your interest rate, so that over time you're paying for a $100 credit limit and you have a $4,000 balance or something, you're going to get some serious interest and you're going to have to end up paying a lot more over time. So paying on time, #1 way to build credit. Don't pay late if you can. If you can't, obviously we're all there. So just work with a financial coach to figure out how you might be able to pay closer to the deadline. And so keep balances below 30% of your credit limit. So if I have a credit limit of $1,000, how much can I spend each month?
300.
300. So it's tricky. You're like, well, why would they give me a limit if I can't actually use that much? It's because they're tricky. So yeah, I have a limit of $1,000. This is sort of the way that credit is broken up. So you've got 30%, and above. So if I have a credit limit of $1,000, that means I can spend
You mean this is like a credit card? That's that? Okay.
credit card. I have a credit card, and when I got my credit card, they said, "Congratulations, you got a credit card. Your limit is $1,000."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. What that technically means is you have $1,000 a month to spend. Does that mean you should spend $1,000 a month?
No.
So you want to spend under 30% or under of your credit limit. And the reason being is that, again, they want to see that you're a responsible spender. So they're like, well, what happens if I give you $1,000 and then you spend $2,000? Then I lose money. So they want to see, okay, I'll give you $1,000 and you have self-control. You won't spend all of the money, and you're going to show me that you're responsible like that because you're spending under $300. So basically the rule of thumb is if you want to improve your credit, you spend below 30% of your credit limit and it will improve your credit score. If you spend between 30 and 50%, so that here would be up to $500, that's null. It's not really going to do anything. It's just not going to affect your credit score. But it's not good, it's not bad. And then if you're spending over 50%, so let's say you're spending more than $500, spending $501, you're above the 50% rating, and that means that your credit is actually decreasing from using that credit. So general rule of thumb, spend below 30%. If you can, you can't. It's okay, we're human, and we'll work towards getting there. The last way to build credit is, how many of you know legally how many times you can see your free credit report a year?
No, you just show here 3 to 6 months or something.
No, it's once. Right?
Is it?
You can get it once a year for free.
Oh, you think for free?
Free.
Sorry. Yeah.
Is it once a year? Who's seen their credit report?
Huh?
Not the credit score, their credit report.
Oh, credit report.
Okay, so your credit report is different than your credit score. So FICO, you were asking me about FICO earlier. FICO is technically a credit. It's one of the languages used to describe a credit score. So this can be, let's say you have like a credit score of 800. That's really good. It's just a language of talking about credit. And so some of the other languages that you might have heard of is like Credit Karma or some of these other ones that just like give you a credit score. They're giving you a credit score, but who knows where the heck they're getting that? It's not a FICO score. So if you do have the chance to look into your credit report, it's really a good idea because it can flag identity theft. It can let you know how much you're spending. It will give you a number. It will tell you how much you're spending each month. So it's just a really good tool because I don't know if maybe you guys like love Excel spreadsheets and you're always in there like calculating your income, but I'm not. So it's just helpful. If you're able to see this 30% and you're like, okay, I'm doing well. And if you're above that, you know that you need to work on that a little bit. So yeah, just check your credit report. You can check your credit report for free 3 times a year. And the website to do that is, I think it's called just like annualfreecreditreport.com. Yeah.
Yeah, something very
Something like that.
logical.
It's something like that. If you Google annual free credit report, it'll come up. And basically what it will do is it will allow you one credit report from each of the major financial institutions or credit institutions in the US, which are
The TRW.
Yeah.
I forgot this one.
Yeah.
Is it Expedient or what?
Expedia, I wish. Experian,
Experience, right?
Equifax,
Equifax.
and TransUnion. So
Right.
there are other ones, but these are the main ones that, I'm terrible.
But I guess if you do the first one, you can get all 3 combined, right?
Yeah, well,
Isn't it?
I don't know if you can actually. I think you would do one separately. Like you would say, I want to get one from TransUnion, I want to get one from Equifax, I want to get one from Experian. Also, we run your credit here, we can do it for free, and it's a soft pull, meaning that it won't affect your credit, so keep that in mind. If you want to make up a consultation with a coach, we can give you a credit report also.
Okay.
Questions on credit?
I have a question. Recently, I was a co-signer on a very large loan for a car, and I know the primary loaner it's paying on time and all that. Would that because I was the co-signer, would that help my credit score to go up? Either at the end of that loan or throughout the loan. As a co-signer, does it would that help me get my FICO higher? Do you know?
I don't know about co-signer on a loan, but I do know that if you're an authorized user on a credit card, that can help you. So what that means is, like, let's say it's basically just someone who has a credit card wants to. The only purpose of it is to help another person build credit. So it could be like a parent, for example, being like, you know what, I want my kid to start building credit when they're young. So you can put your child, whoever, as an authorized user, and basically your credit, that person's credit will just be linked to that person who has the main account. So as that person pays their bills on time and builds their credit, that person's credit goes up also. So that's an option to look into. I'm not sure about the co-signing on a loan, but we can find out about it.
But that's just like for a relative, right? Not a friend.
I think it's more common with, I think you would have to make a case that it's really someone you're very close to and you have a reason for being on their credit card. Because on the other hand, you're on that person's credit card, but you can also use it. So you want to make sure that you guys trust each other so that one person doesn't tank the other person's credit score. Co-signing on a loan. Okay. Yeah, so credit is a little bit confusing, but you can go over it more with your coach when you meet.
Okay.
Okay, so recommended financial products. So there are secured credit cards, which are basically just if you don't really have credit or you have bad credit and you don't want the whole responsibility of having a credit card yet, what you can do is go to certain banks and be like, you know what, I'm not comfortable with having a credit card right now with no limits, but I do want to start building my credit. So what you could do is you could just give, it's basically like a prepaid debit card is basically what it is, but it helps you build credit. So you would say, you know, I want a credit line of $500. So you would actually need to deposit $500 into a savings account with that institution. And then once that happens, they'll give you a credit card and be like, here you go. Now you have a credit card for $500 and you can use it. So you're not using any money you don't have. You're just using the money that you already have, which is that $500. So that's really great because there's no possible way you can go into debt, and they'll report to the credit agencies to help you improve your credit. So secure credit cards. Fresh Start Loans is very similar. It's not actually a loan, so I don't know why they call it a loan. And there's one bank in the Bay Area that does it. There's one credit union in the Bay Area that does it. It's called Self-Help Credit Union.
What is the name?
Self-Help Credit Union.
Self-help.
And this is great for, again, people who don't have social security numbers, because Self-Help will work with them to do this and they want to build credit. Basically what it is it's a savings account. So same thing. You're like, I want a $500 loan. So you say $500 and then they'll give you a loan of $500, but they're not actually giving you a loan, they're giving you your money. They're just reporting it to the credit bureau so that you can improve your credit. So that's a really great option for people who don't have any credit or have poor credit and they just want to improve it and not go into debt. So it's not really a loan. You're just saving and then they report to the credit bureau. That's it. Lending circles is a similar concept. Basically, if we all got together and we were like, okay, I'm going to pay $100, you're going to pay $100, everyone's going to pay $100 into this pot, and they're all going to take turns taking out $1,000. If there were 10 of us per se, then we're all going to take turns taking out $1,000 on different dates. So that's another way, no possible way to go into debt. You're working with, this organization would be MAF, it's called Mission Asset Fund, and basically they just set that up for you, and then you can have money just by
Do you do it
working
here?
with your community. We don't do it here, no. We don't do it here.
What is it called? Mission what?
Mission Asset Fund.
Alright.
If you just Google MAF, it's in the mission. MAF. Yep.
Yeah.
And so let's say you do want to go open an account, a bank account. All you need is ID and proof of address. Again, that's available for people with ITINs or social security numbers. Yeah, so you can just go do those things. And another great thing about Self-Help Credit Union, which is this bank we work with a lot, is even if you're in the check systems, do you know what that is? Check systems? Check systems is basically, if you have debt, you didn't pay your bills on time, it's just like it will impede you from opening up new accounts. So Self-Help Credit Union is actually one of the banks that will allow you to open up an account even if you do have some sort of debt you're paying off, because sometimes it's harder to get financial products when you have debt. So keep that in mind. Self-Help Credit Union, they're great for that. And then they also have really great bank accounts that don't have overdraft fees. They have certain accounts that are like $5 a month, so it might be worth it. Check into how much you're paying each month for the monthly upkeep fee at your bank, because Self-Help has a really cheap, great one as well. Questions?
I was just curious about the check system and ITIN holder. You put in the same category. So let's say if a person is ITIN holder but is not on the check system, so can this person open any account in any bank, or you have to, is more likely to go to that credit union?
So that's a good question. We work closely with Self-Help, so I'm familiar with their policies. I don't know about other banks.
Okay.
I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Okay, yeah.
But they do they'll do mortgages, they'll do loans, they'll do credit cards for people with ITINs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a little introduction about the DISC. So debt, make sure you know how much debt you have and are you ready to pay it off or negotiate. So income, that's just taking into account your work, any benefits you receive, refunds you get from taxes. Your credit, as we know, credit's super important for everything that we do, so just build it or rebuild it if you don't have it, because at some point you're going to need it. And then savings, so just define your short and long-term goals. So those are the main things that we talk about when we talk about financial capability. And then,
Can you know what? Alright. Thank you. There's a question on something you already mentioned. So this lending cycle, I think we mentioned this on a housing workshop. So like put each person $100 or $200. We have two categories, and then but also that can help with your credit. If that's the one they talk.
yeah,
Okay.
that one's great. And there's also
yeah.
zero interest on
Yeah,
it.
I'm interested. So, but I thought it was here, so that's the impression that I had.
No, we work closely with MAP, so they're just like down like 19th and something or 16th and something. But yeah, it's really you lay out the terms that you want, and then you work with people, and they
Yeah.
hold everyone accountable. It's
What-
a really great way to build
Are
credit.
they bank or what?
They're a nonprofit. They're like us. They
Oh,
just
yeah.
have a lot of financial certifications, and they do them all the time. They're really
The
successful.
mission aspect, right?
Mission asset.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, we went over our philosophy, the difference between financial capability and financial education, our different programs, and then Dahlia and MOHCD is the City of San Francisco website that creates Dahlia as resources for you. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I know it's a lot to go through stuff like this in like an hour and a half, but the hope is you now have a general idea of what program you're interested in. That way I can help you make an appointment with a coach. And then feel free, if you haven't finished all your questions, just bring those questions to your coach and they'll be able to.
Are you a coach?
I'm a coach, yeah. I do housing and taxes and financial capability. So yeah, and then just come and we'll do like an individual assessment of your finances and of all this stuff, and we'll help you try to get on a plan to meet your goals. So,
One thing I would like to add is that Dahlia in the mayor's office, and then you showed a list of different nonprofits, including LGBT, that have companies like open homes or open house. I am in the list of mayor's office, and I get all the listings through that. I just signed up, and I don't go through any company. I get anything that is becoming BMR for purchasing or for rent through the mayor's office.
Yeah.
And I know it is linked to Dahlia, but I didn't need to go to any of those companies. Yeah, I get from the mayor's office website.
yeah, it's just if you want to. If you want help submitting applications, go to one of those places.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so then if you all look on this last page of your little packet, it says financial capability survey, so we'll just go through and review those questions together. So first question is,
Okay.
the sheet that looks like this.
Yeah.
First question is that if I'm in the check system, meaning I have damaged my ability to bank, there are still banking options available to me. This option may include opening a savings account at self-help credit union or similar banking institutions. Do you agree with that? You don't know, or you disagree?
No, because there's two options. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's
Just
the
so
place where you
complicated,
can
yeah.
go. They help you.
Exactly. So
I
checks-
agree. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so check system is that you have some
Right.
debt, but you still have access to financial products even if you have debt, basically. Okay, and then number two, so if I can open a bank account even if I'm undocumented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. And I know what documents I should bring to open up a bank account if I am undocumented.
Depends on the institution.
Yeah, but generally ID
Yeah.
and
Address.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Agree then.
the bank of America is just like ID and proof of address, and
Yeah.
like a minimal deposit of $50.
Yeah, so that's great. They all have different sort of qualifications. Okay, and then secured credit cards. So those are a way to establish a credit history, and this option is available to me even if I am documented. Undocumented. Do you agree with that? And then fresh start loans, which aren't really loans, are a way to establish a loan history that will reflect positively on my credit report while the saving money. Do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that? Agree. Great. So that's it from me, everyone. So if you want to just take the rest of the time to fill out the rest of the packet.
Do you need it?
I do need it, and before you go, I'll review everything with you to make sure we got everything just quickly. So if anyone's done, let me know, and I'll start reviewing your packet with you. And then we can go into scheduling if anyone wants to schedule.
You offer this class every week, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. But this time of the week and the same time?
Not Friday. What? No. Wednesday, 5:45.
Okay. And in both languages, right?
Yeah, we have Spanish.
English and
Okay.
All set? Okay, let's see here. Spanish is, oops, put everything out. Oh, and this one. Yeah, I know.
Like those kids, like,
I know. Yeah, just, there's different sides.
oh.
Oh, yeah.
More.
Well, we just need your signature if it's not valid. So name, signature, and date, please. Do you guys want me to send out the PowerPoint to all of you?
Yeah. I mean, at least me.
then do I just put my email here on top?
I think you have your email. It asks for your email on the first page, so I have.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I'm going to keep those.
This got detached.
Uh-oh. Whoa.
Well, because remember, it was not.
That's okay, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then,
And this one I didn't fill out because I'm already in their list. In their-
so we need that one because we need it for each new fiscal year. And the fiscal year starts in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, so just sign down here and date. Yep. And I think we're all set, so, well, yeah, can you put that one, do that here, so this, you can actually hold on to this folder. You all set?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't fill out this one, like, because I'm not interested in the house right now, so.
Yeah. So this is actually, so this second page is probably the most important one in our packet. This basically is just, we received funding from the city of San Francisco to have clients, and this is proof that we're actually seeing clients. So it doesn't mean that you're interested in housing, it just is like, that's, the city needs that, or else you don't exist.
Like it's
Okay,
Yeah, that's great. So I'll take this one, thank you very much. And do you want to schedule any appointments with someone?
Yeah, do you think it's possible, 24th and 31st?
Well, what program are you interested in?
It could be, well, I was interested in housing and also the lending cycle, but the lending cycle will be with them, yeah, right?
Yeah, the learning circle will be with math. So with housing, if you're interested, you want to
Housing,
purchase? Okay, so if you're interested in purchasing a house, you actually have to go to the class first. Yeah.
Yeah, what else? Yeah. Well, I actually came primarily for the lending
Okay.
because they say that on the training, and then I called, they couldn't, tell me on the phone, like, hey, just
Yeah.
so, but that's fine. So I'm glad I came. So, yeah, so for the housing, how do I sign up? Just
So if you're interested in housing, you can email our home ownership team. So just send an email and we'll help you register. Home ownership sf@meadow.org. And you just want to tell us your name, birthday, and the language you want the class in.
yeah, I think I might be interested on the financial effects program. It's kind of, because I remember one time they kind of help you to come up with the budget. Is that right?
Yeah,
So and also to print the credit report.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can do your credit report, yeah,
You think so?
yeah. So if you're interested in that,
Yeah.
yeah. No, you can keep that, yeah.
If you have those 24 and 31st for paying.
It'll depend on people's availability,
Yeah.
we'll see. Personally, I might recommend you go to the home buyer class, because once you do that, they'll set you up with a coach afterwards also, but, let's see, I'll see who's available for finances.
So that's what happened last time. I was new at work and I couldn't, take off and get off to work to come for the appointment, and he never actually matched.
Write your name, sign it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He never matched their availability with my availability. But now I have more room to, cut to the appointment.
What is this one?
So that's basically, since we are an agency working with the city of San Francisco, they want proof that we're actually seeing clients. So that's to say, hey, we are seeing clients.
To get funded.
Yes, we get money for it. Let's see.
Home owner.
Yep, and then, how many people live in your house?
I rent a room over there, it's like 10 people, but I'm by myself. So
Okay, so put one, and then you can put your income there also.
By the way, my wife and kids are in China. Shall I fill their name in this form?
No, such as if you have kids living,
In China, they're not in US. Because only me here.
Yeah, put your kids, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's annual, right?
Yeah, I know.
I have no idea.
This house workshop is in advance, or we can pay when we
You
get
pay
it?
the day of, so we accept either check or cash, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's $50, but you need to register in advance. It really fills up.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
And then if you could just sign this one and date.
Excuse me. One question. Right here it says in the adults in household. So me and my mother-in-law and buddy of mine, because me and my buddy and my son are just live in this little car. My mother-in-law's renting a room out from one of her friends. But if they're trying to find a house to rent together, do I put them two on here with me also?
It's a
that.
people
Okay.
workshop. Let's put this on the we'll see. If I make room for it. That is no matter.
Great, they're all
Moving
set.
forward.
And did you want to make an appointment, right?
I have a question about like the deck. And like I think I wrote over here, but yeah, the business develop. You told me like there's like training for 9 weeks, right? And about the tech, I have like. I would you like to know more about the mission tech and the business?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I can do now is I can set you up with one appointment and then they'll refer you to the next one. So
Okay.
which one are you more interested in?
I prefer the mission tech.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see. Let's see.
You guys have like some like recycle stuff because I already have like a degree in Brazilian system information, IT. That's something I would like to like update and try to practice over here.
I don't know if we have that, but they might be able to tell you more about that.
Okay.
This one.
Habibu.
What is it?
Habibu. It's my last name, yeah.
Oh, is it with an R? Or?
Yeah,
Excuse me. What's the difference between single-handed and dual-handed?
Okay, so you're interested in
Is-
mission techies.
So if you have a contract
Techies.
and your
Okay,
name.
so I'll have someone give you a call about that because I don't see any
Person,
appointments
the
available
only
right
person
away.
contract, you're single.
So I can call you.
But if you have a more, you have a you and I who sign.
Oh, I got it. Oh, thank you.
Okay, and did you want to make an appointment for anything? What were you interested in?
Couple of things. Some training and workforce stuff, and then the financial stuff.
Okay.
For now, I don't know.
Okay, so we can start with one, we'll make you one like initial appointment and then they'll refer you to the next one. So which one would you be most interested in?
Work.
Same thing as him, I'm not seeing any slots right now. Or I can check.
Are you going to do for me? Okay.
You were interested in
The financial-
feasibility, right? Yes.
So if I don't hear from anyone,
I'll probably call you tomorrow.
homeowners.
Yeah.
if someone can, anyone, the 24th or the 31st in the afternoon,
24th or 31st in the afternoon. Okay.
like, please.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna note that.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so that's-
Is that 31st? 24th. Onde tirar uma foto? Vamos tirar uma foto de vocês colocar no grupo?
Yeah, okay, I have everything here for you.
Den första
So
var
can I call in and make an appointment? I'm interested in a first time buyer.
So you actually would make an appointment, you would just register directly for the class.
Okay.
So the way you can do that is email that homeownership@sf@minute.org and put your name, your birthday, the language. All right, bye, thank you. That
That email,
that email, and then. Okay,
That's for you too?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care,
Thank you.
I'll see you
Thank
around.
Yes, I'll see you around. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
Hey, good luck on your green
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
Good luck on your green card.
Because
Thank you.
you
Thank
don't,
you.
I have to do that way, correct?
Thank you.
You'll
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
Because
That's
you
right.
don't have any slots or anything like that for an appointment.
We have slots, but that's how you register. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
First thing.
Okay, so this is yours.
It's my information. Yeah.
Great. Very nice, Markel. Thank you.
Great,
All right,
thank you.
take
Nice
care.
meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. And what service were you interested in? Housing?
Yeah. Actually, I just want to find a new job now.
New job? Okay.
Yeah.
so
I want to
workforce.
find a new job, and also, if we have the class of English, I want to learn English computer or something like that because I live near here.
Okay. Yeah.
But temporarily only, I just want to find a new job. Yeah,
Okay.
in our community.
Okay. So I will have people follow up with you.
The dual-headed family, that means more than one person.
Yeah. So like,
Okay.
if more than one person is
That's what I
generating-
should click. Okay.
Okay. So, oh wait, did I go through these?
Yeah, and then
Oh, I did.
signature. I have filled all the information. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can do that. Let me check it out. Yep.
Because sometimes I cannot understand some English,
Okay.
so maybe some contents are not very precise. Maybe.
No, I think it's great. So thank you.
Yeah,
And
thank
we'll,
you.
We'll call you to schedule an appointment.
Wow, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. See you. Bye. See you.
Yeah, just like-